Hello my fellow freedom builders and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is called Mining Monday, and that is a new series I am going to start now and run every single Monday, and as the name says, it's all about mining and it is on every Monday. And I'm looking very much forward to this. In my opinion and in our opinion here, I have just hired a mining analyst to my little company here. In our opinion, mining and commodities are going to explode the upcoming years here. So therefore we are positioning a lot of our money in this sector, and of course that would be natural to let you know what we're doing and what I am thinking about it. Now, the agenda for today is a quick introduction. What is Mining Monday and what we're gonna do in the near future here. I'm gonna have a look at gold, silver and US dollars. We're gonna have a look at the two ETFs, the GDX and the GDXJ. I'm going to give you some general news that I am picking up from all over the mining world, and I am going to have a look at two of the smaller mining stocks, Golden Tag Resources and Capital Gold, that I also did a video about the other week. So this is about it for today, and as I said, I hope this will be a recurring theme coming up every Monday. If you have input, ideas, mining stocks you would like us to look at, etc., you are always welcome to put it in the comment section below, and I hope you are as thrilled about this initiative as we are. So let's start and have a look at the gold, silver and US dollars, and to that I jump straight into TradingView here as always, where I do my technical analysis. Now what we have here is the gold spot, and of course we could also have the gold future. There's a few dollars often in difference between the two, but it's not really relevant here because I'm looking at the great picture. If I were to day trade the dollar, I would definitely go for the future contracts, I think. But what we see here is that the dollar has been in a bit of a slump lately from beginning of August here and up until now. So a month and a half or so of downwards trending. But when we look at the weekly chart, you can see that that's actually quite normal. When we look at the price back here in the spring of 19, it took a little drop here. We had a drop here back in what was that, in the fall last year, and then we had a bit of a what is that, yeah, 10% or something like that. There are different reasons for that I'll also mention today in the general news section. But what we can see here is what I would call a bull flag, and a bull flag is a technical formation that I'm not looking at too many technical formations actually, but a bull flag is one of the more reliant ones. We have a flagpole here, we have the flag, and then when it breaks out, if it breaks out this week for instance, we move the flagpole up here and we set a target saying that the gold could reach just around $2,500. Now that is of course a lot, and it's not certain it'll come up there, but as you can see, the other times where we've had these flags, the flagpole length has been reached easily. So I know that $2,500 sounds like a lot, but actually it might not be. So let's have a look at that and see. What I'm looking at here is if we can break this to the upside, meaning that if the gold price can break up through this flag here, then I am very, very bullish on gold. As we're gonna see in a second, that is of course very important for the gold miners and silver mining stocks as well. When we're looking at the silver, we can see pretty much the same picture, not with the many flags. Silver has been more sideways trending for a long time. But when it broke out here in 2020, it was really in a hurry to get up, and it broke out here at around the 19.5 and then went up to 30. So that was a 50% rise. But it has had the same drop here as we have seen in gold, and silver also tends to be a bit more volatile. But again, as you can see here on the daily chart, if we have the flag here and that is broken, and I assume that a break here will also mean that gold has broken upwards, then that's very promising for this sector. Now, if you have seen my first mining videos from a while back, and also seen my videos about the US dollar, then you know that gold and USD are correlating quite a lot. Or sorry, they are negatively correlating quite a lot, because what we can see here is the exact opposite of what we saw in the gold. Let's just find the gold again. As you can see here, we are exploding in price from mid-March here and upwards to August, and then we start to drop off. When we see the DXY, which is the dollar index, you can see here that from around March we had the top, and then here in August, mid-August, we saw the bottom, and it started to trend up a bit. But this is just a bear flag waiting to be broken downwards, and if that happens, I suspect it will happen at the exact same time as gold and silver breaks upwards. So this is something I am watching quite a lot, because it has a lot of negative correlation with the gold mining stocks, meaning that when we see the DXY breaking down, we will probably see the gold break up, and therefore also the gold stocks. Now, something I also watch a lot when I evaluate the mining market, that is the large ETFs. I'm using the GDX, the VanEck Vectors ETF Trust Gold here. And as you can see, it's pretty much the same pattern here from around February, March. They really went up violently here, and then has had this drop off. If you are not familiar with the GDX, then at the website here, called ETF.com. That is my go-to place when I'm looking at ETFs. You can see here the VanEck Vectors Gold Miners ETF, and we can read a lot of stuff about it. There's something about how it is structured, and it is structured in a way where that the big firms are getting less weight than in a neutral benchmark. So actually the GDX is not a 100% sector benchmark, you could say, but a lot of people are watching it, and therefore it is important, absolutely. You can read a lot about it here, and I think actually they changed some years back. In the beginning they didn't have a lot of foreign countries in here, but as you can see, the top 10 countries are of course Canada and United States. Australia and South America is here as well. But we also have Peru and Turkey and Indonesia. Yeah, well, next to nothing here, of course. But when we look at the top sectors, you can see that it's actually not just a gold. There are also a bit of other metals in here, but it is primarily gold. And when you see the top 10 holdings, you can see all the mainstream names of Newmont and Barrick and the Agnico Eagle and Wheaton Precious and so on, Newcrest, Kirkland, all of the big ones here. But as we see with an index like the S&P 500, the SPY ETF, you can see that just a very few stocks takes up a large percentage of the overall ETF. So of course, if Newmont and Barrick are moving very much up or down, that will move the entire GDX, no doubt about that. So GDX is absolutely one to watch. Another one is the GDXJ, which is just the juniors. Meaning that, as I said in my previous mining videos, the majors are the ones that are just like almost ordinary companies producing a dividend and so on. But here in the juniors, we can see that it is a lot more of explorers and very small mining companies. You can also see Canada here, but number 2 is Australia and South Africa here. And when we United States down on a 5th place here, and you can see here that there's actually a bit more diversified out into not just gold, but also other mining areas here. You can see that the top 10 is Kinross and Gold Fields, many of the other mining companies I have evaluated, also the Pan American Silver, where that also has a lot of gold in the portfolio, and so on. So many of these are names, of course, we know. And I'm pretty sure this one is capped so that one company can only be a top 8% here in the overall weighting. So the GDX and the GDXJ are the two ETF that I often just have a quick look at. And you can see here's the GDX and here we see the GDXJ. and that is pretty much the same pattern. But of course the juniors are moving more violently, and as we can see here, they're 230% from a bottom to a top here in this crazy move. Let's see what's in the GDX. Maybe it's almost the same. I don't think so though. Just a second. Now it is quote unquote only 170% here. So the juniors are a bit more volatile, but that goes as well for the for the upturn and for the downturn, of course. As for the general news this week, I'll not pick the very big topics here. You'll just get a couple of quick news here, and of course I'll link to them below. But one thing I just stumbled upon on themining.com, which is a very good site to visit, is that gold price rally lifts the top 50 mining stocks above $1 trillion for the first time. So this article describes and counts the entire market cap of the top 50 mining stocks in the world. And as you can see, just from Q2 to Q3, we had a lift up at $80 billion in market cap. That is more than 8% that this top 50 was moved upwards, meaning that there's really happening a lot right now. And you can see here the change from Q1 to Q3 is an astonishing $327.5 billion. So that is completely crazy. But you can also see here that in 2019 it took a big hit here. So it is a volatile sector, but there are money to be made. In this little article here, it writes a lot about the different sectors, best performers, worst performers, and so on. So you can read more in depth with that for yourself. Now, the other news here is actually really related to the gold price, because this is a gold price range bound near 1900. That, of course, we knew, we just saw that. But in this article, it describes a bit more some of the reasons why this might be. And they are talking about the stimulus in the United States. If you have been following the news, and if you've been following my channel, you know a bit about that, because right now the US economy is in some dire need for some stimulus packages, and the Democrats and Republicans are fighting over it. Donald Trump is fighting, and the Senate is actually kind of fighting Donald Trump as well. So there is really a war going on here, a civil war in the political system, where the Trump actually is very interested in getting a stimulus package up and running before the 3rd of November at the election. The Democrats, well, they might want to postpone it a bit because they don't want to give him that victory of coming out with a check for everybody just up to the election. But they might be able, Pelosi on the Democrat side, and then Trump might actually be somewhere close to an agreement. But then we have the Senate Republicans saying, no way we can give that much money away to just the main street people. We want to give this to Wall Street and the big corporations and so on. So they want to give it a lot more focused on the corporations and some lending opportunities to them. So there's really some hard struggling going on here. And if you ask me, I don't think they will come up with a solution where the American people will actually get some benefit from this before the election. I have a hard time seeing this. But the stimulus hope is dwindling, and that is also one of the reasons why there has been some pressure downwards on the commodities and gold and silver. Because if they decide on a stimulus package, that is just around, you can see here, $1.8 trillion. That is from Trump, and I think the Democrats are actually asking for $2.2 or $2.3 trillion. If they are to run these stimulus packages, that would mean an injection of money injected right into the public Americans' wallet so they can go out and spend. That, of course, will put some pressure upwards on the inflation and so on. And since gold is an inflation hedge, then that could make the gold price go up. But if the stimulus package is postponed, then I think we can see a little downwards pressure in the coming weeks on gold and silver. I wouldn't be surprised about that. So that is the general news for today. Now on to the two companies here. We have the Golden Tag Resources and the Capital Gold. The Golden Tag Resources I will do a more in-depth analysis on next week, but let's just have a look at the chart here, because we have, let's just find it here, we have the GOG, the Golden Tag Resources, and I just wanted to give you a heads up here because it has actually made a very interesting technical setup here where we have been moving sideways since somewhere in July here, and then we just broke up very heavily with good buyers strength here on Friday. And if that can continue today, I actually think that the Golden Tag Resources can have some very nice upwards movement in the upcoming weeks here. Now, if you don't know Golden Tag, I can tell you that it is a well-capitalized junior exploration company, and they're seeking some high-grade silver deposits. The company is committed to, they're exploring in the San Diego project in Durango in state Mexico, and they have 100% interest in that project. The entire project hosts about 230 million ounces of silver. And just here on the 15th, that's 4 days ago, the company announced a 4,500 meters drill that'll start in a few weeks. So that is very exciting news. And we personally think here that it is a very interesting company. And I'll talk a lot about it more in a silver video that is coming right up. And we are getting ready to produce very soon. So that is just very quickly on the Golden Tag. And as I said, I'll go more in depth with that within a week or so, but keep an eye out for that. It is one of our top candidates for some future moves. Then of course there is the Capital Gold here, and if you remember, if you've seen my video about that about a week and a half ago, the price was up at that point around 0.83, I think it was, and what I said there was that I would not buy at that level. I would wait for a retracement to around $0.6, $0.65, and that's where we are now. So of course the question is, should we buy now? Because now it is at the zone I have drawn in on my chart saying this is where it could bounce. Now, there are some factors we need to consider here, because first of all, there are coming a lot of new stocks on the market, or potentially on the market very shortly here. That is tomorrow on the 20th of October. The reason for that is not that they are issuing new stocks, but simply that some of the investors that bought in, that financed the project back in June and July, their stocks have been in a lockup period. In Canada, that is 4 months and 1 day of lockup period, meaning that these investors have financed at a price at 12.5 cents, so 0.125, and right now the price is around 0.63. So they can look at a very healthy profit here, and some of them might actually liquidate some of their stocks. We don't think that they will liquidate all of them because they have a lot of faith in this product, but just be aware that if you buy here, you might actually tomorrow see a bit of a dump in the price if some of these stocks are put on the market. We're talking about 30 million stocks altogether, but it was in 3 different tranches the finance came in back in the summer. So some of it will be free of the lockup here tomorrow, and then number 2 and number 3 tranche is within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So over the next 2 to 3 weeks, I will assume that we can see some pressure on the price. I'm not sure if we could dive all the way down to, let's say, 0.5 or 0.55 here. That is possible in a stock like this. As you can see from the top here, just down here, we're down 28%. And if we go down further, we can go down to 40% here. And if you are investing in junior explorers, that is simply something to be expected. I hope that you listened to me and didn't buy up here. I saw some weakness up here, and maybe if you are long term, you could buy in now. But personally, I will wait a bit to see if the selling pressure will put it down here. Another news here about Capital is that one of the directors, a guy called Derek Weyrauch, I think maybe, he has sold almost 300,000 shares. And the strange thing is that he didn't report it for about a week. That in itself is not illegal in any way. It's just a bit strange since they usually come out and say it right away. So his explanation is that he needed the money to cover some cost of exercising his warrants, but I'm not really sure. It sounds like a bit of a funny explanation. But anyway, he has sold his I think it's 297,000 shares or something like that. So he has been pocketing some money now. It is a bit some bad vibes there, but not really something that concerns me. However, a lot of investors have been expecting some news coming out from them, and our approach here is that there might not be coming as good news as we might have hoped for, because if he has sold his 300,000 shares, this director, without telling it, and they were having some news coming out, then that would actually be illegal. So that can be an indication that there's not really coming the news we were hoping for. Anyway, there are some news about their drilling. We can just have a look here. Yeah, in the upcoming week, we will get some news, some long expected news on the first target, the Alonso program, or the Alonso drilling here in this area. And that we are looking very much forward to that, to get the results from that exploration. And then the rig has just been moved to the next target, the Medusa. And I haven't seen that mentioned too many places, but I know that is the fact. So they will start to explore there soon. They have several targets to explore, and in their own words, they are expecting that every 2 to 3 weeks they will come out with news about the results on these exploration targets. So that is really something we should look out for. There can be some very good price triggers, some buying triggers coming out on these news from Capital in the upcoming months. So they are in an area where they can pretty much drill all year round. So they are not running into any seasons right now, as far as I recall, and that gives us a good opportunity to get some positive news every 2 to 3 weeks if we are lucky. So there are a lot to explore down there, and as I said in my first Capital video, this is really one of the junior explorers that I expect the most from. But in the upcoming weeks, I will give you some more candidates you can dive deeper into yourself. That's all for now. I hope you have enjoyed our first version here of Mining Monday, and we will keep on putting them out. And as I said in the beginning, if you have any ideas, suggestions, questions and so on, feel free to ask them in the comment section below here. It's not certain that I can answer them, but our new guy in the company, I'm pretty sure he can. He's very, very much into this sector, so I'm pretty sure that we can find all the answers we want from him. That's all for now. Take care of yourself and your money out there, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye.